You know those kinds of movies that start with a guy who's completely down and out, someone no one wants around? Like Rocky, who went from a total loser to a legend, or The Karate Kid, where a hopeless kid learns how to stand up for himself. Classic underdog stories, right? Well, Peacemaker is the exact opposite of that. Chris Smith is a killer who believes he's fighting for peace, but he's so broken, so deeply traumatized, that almost no one can stand to be around him. And instead of a classic redemption arc, he finds himself on a completely insane mission, working for a secret agency hunting down aliens that are taking over politicians and celebrities. What makes this show different is that it doesn't try to make you like Chris, it wants you to understand why he is the way he is. And in the middle of all that, the series mixes absurd humor, over-the-top violence, and moments so emotional they actually piss you off. There's action, behind-the-scenes drama, messy relationships, but most of all, there's a completely miserable guy trying to do the right thing for the first time in his life. If I had to sum up Peacemaker in one sentence, it would be, not every hero wears a cape, and not every redemption story is pretty. So today on the channel, Peacemaker, a show about a killer who wants peace, just in the most insane way possible. 5 months after that crazy mission in Corto Maltese, Chris Smith, aka Peacemaker, has finally recovered and is being discharged from the hospital. He knows he still owes a few years in prison, so he asks the janitor if anyone's looking for him. The answer is no, but as soon as he steps outside, a nurse rats him out to a certain Mr. Mern. Peacemaker grabs a cab home, but since he's broke, he ends up giving the driver his helmet as payment. Once there, he finds a bunch of messages left by a guy named Vigilante. Suddenly, a team emerges, pointing guns at him. The leader is Clemson Mern, the rookie is Leota Adebayo, and the Argus agents are Harcourt and Economos. They've been assigned by Amanda Waller to a mission called Project Butterfly. The choice is simple: either go back to Belle Rive prison or join them to kill the butterflies. He reluctantly accepts. Mern adds that the bomb in his head will detonate if he tries to bail on them.
Still have that bomb in your head to track you with, and if that fails, we'll blow you the hell up.
To start the mission, he needs his pet, the Eagle Eagly, and a new helmet. For that, he visits his father, Augie. The old man gives him a cold reception, calls him weak, but hands over the new gear, hoping he'll use it against communists, black people, Jews, and Catholics. A real sweetheart. Later, at dinner with the team, Mern gives him the dossier on the first target, a US senator. At the same restaurant, an employee named Adrian Chase recognizes Peacemaker and treats him like an idol. Afterward, Peacemaker tries his luck with Harcourt at a bar, but she shoots him down immediately. Meanwhile, Adebayo calls her mother, who turns out to be Amanda Waller herself, and receives a secret order: plant a fake diary in Peacemaker's home. Our anti-hero's night ends with a woman he met at the bar, Annie. They go to her apartment, but the woman suddenly goes full Jason on him, attacking him with a knife and displaying superhuman strength. He jumps out the window, grabs his helmet, and activates a sonic boom that blows up the woman and part of the parking lot, attracting the police. Some first day of freedom, huh? Peacemaker frantically calls Harcourt, telling her he killed the superpowered Annie and destroyed his own car in the process. Harcourt and Adebayo go pick him up. Before fleeing, he goes back to the woman's apartment to get his stuff and finds a bizarre alien device. Meanwhile, the Evergreen police arrive to investigate the explosion and start chasing Peacemaker. He breaks into another apartment and takes a couple hostage, but ends up forming a weird bond with the wife, Amber. After some acrobatics across balconies, he's surrounded by the police, but Harcourt shows up and takes out 5 officers with tranquilizer darts. Adebayo floors it and gets them all out of there. Since Peacemaker's car was left behind, Mern orders their tech guy, John Economos, to falsify the records. In his haste, Economos registers the car and fingerprints under the name of Peacemaker's father, Augie. Mern is furious as this could sour the team's dynamic. To make matters worse, Mern has Adebayo bribe the hostage couple to tell the police it was Augie who kidnapped them. The result? His father is arrested, and in prison, several inmates kneel and hail him as the White Dragon.
All hail the White Dragon.
Yeah, the old man is a big shot in the criminal underworld. Back at his trailer, Peacemaker has a breakdown, feeling like a piece of shit for killing Rick Flag and for being hated by everyone. That's when Vigilante shows up, in full costume, wanting to be his new best friend. Peacemaker confesses he thinks he's a maniac, but Vigilante comforts him, saying they only kill bad people and that he loves doing it. To cheer him up, the two go test some guns in the woods, and to cap off the night, they have a threesome with Amber, yes, the former hostage. To make things even weirder, when Peacemaker touches the alien device he found, it transforms into a miniature spaceship. Peacemaker shows the small spaceship to his team. They catch Vigilante spying on them and convince him to leave. Myrn reveals their first official mission: assassinate Senator Royland Goff, who is a butterfly. The order is to kill his wife and children too, if they're the same kind, but Peacemaker has a problem with the idea of killing kids. He asks what the hell a butterfly is, but Myrn refuses to explain. The team sets up surveillance outside the Goff residence. The family arrives with 2 bodyguards, including a guy named Judo Master. While they wait, Peacemaker opens up to Harcourt, saying his father turned him into a killer. And guess who shows up again? Vigilante. Myrn lets him stay so he doesn't blow the mission. Finally, the family gathers for dinner, giving them a clean shot. That's when things get gross. They produce a honey-like liquid and begin feeding with insect-like tongues. Definitely butterflies. Myrn orders Peacemaker to take the shot, but he freezes. Seeing his hesitation, Vigilante takes over, killing the wife and kids. But before he can hit the senator, Judo Master attacks and knocks out him, Peacemaker, and Harcourt. The other bodyguard aims his gun at Harcourt, but Adebayo points hers at him. Harcourt yells for Adebayo to shoot, but she freezes too. Harcourt has to handle it herself. Goff and Judo Master take Peacemaker and Vigilante to the basement. Goff removes Vigilante's mask, and Peacemaker recognizes Adrian Chase, the fan from the restaurant.
What are you doing?
If I keep changing my facial expressions, he won't be able to recognize me in a lineup.
Goff tortures Vigilante with electric shocks to get information but fails. The team outside uses an explosive to breach the basement. The blast frees Peacemaker, who fights Goff and shoots him in the face, killing him. A butterfly-like alien emerges from the senator's head. Mystery solved. To top it off, the team's computer shows that there are thousands of suspected butterflies all over the world. The problem is much bigger than they imagined. After the mission, the team captures Judo Master. Peacemaker and Vigilante are ready to off the guy, but Harcourt and Adebayo go into good cop mode and prevent the execution. With Judo Master tied up at their base, Adebayo confesses to Harcourt that she's never shot anyone. Harcourt gives her some tough love, basically telling her to get over it because this isn't a playground. Peacemaker and Vigilante go to his dad's house to get more helmets. There, they discover that Augie has been arrested, framed by Peacemaker's own team. Chris is pissed at Myrn and decides to visit his father, against orders. When Vigilante asks why, he blurts out, "I love my dad." Such a bummer. The prison visit is a disaster. Peacemaker tells Augie everything about the setup and the aliens. The Father of the Year's response, "I never loved you," and he threatens to tell the police everything. Back at the base, it's chaos. Judo Master has escaped. He attacks Economos and Peacemaker, and just as he's about to spill the beans about the butterflies, Adebayo shoots him. Meanwhile, Adebayo manipulated Vigilante into trying to kill Augie, telling him it would help Peacemaker. Vigilante, the genius that he is, gets himself arrested to get to the old man. In prison, he provokes Augie, who now thinks his own son sent him to be killed. Myrn is furious with Adebayo and gets Vigilante out of jail, exposing his identity. In the end, we see that Peacemaker is keeping the butterfly from Senator Goff alive in a jar. And to cap it all off, we discover that Myrn is also a butterfly, complete with a bizarre tongue for drinking a strange liquid. Myrn finally gives the team the straight dope on the butterflies. They're like the body snatchers, but they prefer to take over politicians and celebrities, making their hosts super strong. And their mission is top secret on Amanda Waller's orders. The alien's weakness is an amber-colored liquid, so the team sets out to raid the factory that produces it, Glantai. The tension is still high, with Peacemaker holding a grudge against Economos for framing his father.
Yeah, tell that to my dad.
Peacemaker, shut the fuck up!
Meanwhile, Myrn makes his moves and installs a colleague, Locke, as the new police captain to keep Augie in prison. But the old man is smart and requests a new fingerprint test, which proves his innocence. Detectives Song and Larry uncover the frame job, but Captain Locke ignores it all and keeps Augie locked up. Still, the detectives manage to get a secret search warrant for Peacemaker's home. At the factory, things get serious. Peacemaker's X-ray helmet shows that all the employees are butterflies. A fight breaks out, and the factory's head of security is none other than a giant gorilla named Charlie, also possessed by a butterfly. The team gets their asses handed to them by the evil King Kong. When all seems lost, Economos, the computer nerd, gets out of the van and defeats the gorilla with a chainsaw. The epic moment finally earns him Peacemaker's respect, and the team even christens themselves the 11th Street Kids. Later, Peacemaker invites Adebayo for a drink and asks for advice on how to win over Harcourt. She tells him to be less of a douchebag, but while he's distracted, she plants the fake diary in his trailer. On her mother's orders. To make matters worse, Adebayo tries on the X-ray helmet and discovers Mern's secret, and worst of all, he catches her in the act. Adebayo is panicking, but Harcourt appears and calms the situation, revealing that she and Economos already knew. It turns out Mern is one of the good guys. He explains that his species came from a dying planet, and that the main faction led by Goff's butterfly wants to conquer Earth. He's a rebel who possessed the body of a murderer to try to stop them. Their new mission is to find the cow, the butterfly's main food source. Meanwhile, Augie gets out of prison and goes full villain. He suits up as the White Dragon, gathers his racist followers, and vows to kill his own son. Talk about family drama. Elsewhere, Peacemaker visits a school and gets emotional remembering his deceased brother. Back at his trailer, his pet butterfly starts drawing peace symbols in its jar. Shortly after, Locke warns him about an impending police raid, and Peacemaker and Vigilante flee. In the chaos of the escape, Vigilante breaks the jar and the butterfly enters Detective Song's mouth. Locke shows up and kills other officers to help them escape, which horrifies Peacemaker. An officer finds the fake diary Adebayo planted, and Locke confiscates it. Mern tells the team about the diary, and Adebayo feels guilty but keeps quiet. Economos tracks the cow to a ranch. Peacemaker is furious with all the secrets and declares he won't kill humans anymore, but he's going to hunt down every last butterfly. The ending is breathtaking. The song Butterfly takes over the entire police department, creating an army of alien cops. To top it off, the now possessed Locke goes on national television and uses the fake diary to frame Peacemaker for a series of murders, turning him into the most wanted man in the country. Here we take a deep dive into Peacemaker's trauma. A flashback shows his father, Augie, forcing him and his brother to fight while people placed bets. In one of these fights, Chris accidentally kills his brother with a punch that causes a seizure, and his father blames him entirely. Back in the present, Peacemaker figures out that Locke is a butterfly, and that Adebayo planted the fake diary to frame him. With the entire country's police force after him, he assembles a B team, Vigilante, Eagly, and Economos, and sets off to finish the mission, not getting a damn about the escaped judo master. But the father of the year, Augie, dons his White Dragon armor and goes with his gang of neo-Nazis to hunt down his own son. He rams Economos' van, injures Eagly, and beats the crap out of Peacemaker. But Vigilante, ever unpredictable, saves the day by stabbing Augie and disabling his armor. Economos finishes the job by gunning down the rest of the gang. Peacemaker then unleashes all his rage on his father, who continues to taunt him even while being beaten. Without a second thought, Chris shoots and kills the old man, then breaks down. Meanwhile, Harcourt confronts Adebayo, who confesses everything and drops another bombshell. She's Amanda Waller's daughter. Before they can process the news, Mern warns them that the butterflies are coming and dies fighting bravely to protect them. The team reunites at a vet clinic where Eagly recovers and gives Peacemaker a hug. Adebayo decides to stay. Harcourt takes charge, and the new mission is clear: kill the cow, the butterfly's food source. When they arrive on site, they discover that the cow is actually a giant worm-like alien, straight out of a horror movie.
You found it.
The final mission begins. The plan is to send in Economos, the only face the butterflies don't recognize, to plant a sonic helmet inside. He enters the barn and comes face to face with the gigantic creature in the cellar. Obviously, the plan goes wrong. The butterflies spot him, and Adebayo has to detonate the helmet remotely, creating a massive diversion. That's the green light for chaos. Peacemaker, Harcourt, and Vigilante storm the place, guns blazing. The fight is intense, and both Vigilante and Harcourt are severely wounded. Seeing the situation, Adebayo finally snaps into combat mode and saves Harcourt. In the cellar, the lead butterfly, Song, tries to recruit Peacemaker, arguing that humanity is destroying the planet and they are the only salvation. Chris actually considers the offer, but when he sees his friends in danger, the choice is easy. In a stroke of insane genius, he activates his human torpedo helmet and launches the incapacitated Adebayo straight into the giant cow, destroying it. He shoots Song's body, but surprisingly, spares the Goff butterfly inside her. And to top it all off, the Justice League shows up super late and Peacemaker doesn't miss the chance to cuss them out.
You're late, you fucking dickheads.
In the end, Adebayo becomes the hero no one expected. She calls a press conference, clears Peacemaker and Vigilante's names, and exposes Task Force X and Amanda Waller to the world. The team recovers in the hospital, and Peacemaker stays by Harcourt's side until she wakes up. Peace seems to reign, but the final scene shows Chris in his trailer, feeding the goth butterfly and still haunted by the ghost of his father. Eagly wakes Chris up and takes him on a random trip to the quantum unfolding chamber, a closet in his trailer that acts as a portal to the multiverse. The Eagle guides him to a reality where his father is a hero and his brother is alive. Chris obviously freaks out and bolts back to his own universe. 6 months pass, and Peacemaker's life hasn't improved. No one sees him as a hero. He tries to join a group called the Justice Gang and gets kicked out, and to top it off, Harcourt tells him the night they spent together was a mistake. The guy's so down, he throws a party and doesn't even show up, just locks himself in the quantum chamber again. Meanwhile, Argus is still keeping tabs on Chris. The agency's new boss is Rick Flag Sr., the father of the Rick Flag Jr. that Peacemaker killed. He doesn't trust the reports on Chris and assigns a new agent to the case, because this is personal. Harcourt isn't having a great time either and gets her ass kicked in a bar fight. Back in the multiverse, Chris reconnects with his alternate family and discovers that in that reality, he was dating Harcourt. The good vibes don't last long, as Peacemaker 2, his alternate self, shows up to confront him. A massive brawl breaks out between the two versions of Chris, and the fight spills back into the chamber. Peacemaker 2 is stronger and is about to finish off our protagonist, but in a twist, Chris activates his doppelganger's jetpack, launching him into the ceiling and killing him. Chris holds his own dead body in his arms, in shock. The guy's identity crisis just hit a whole new level. In a flashback, we see Rick Flag's father, Flag Sr., taking over from Amanda Waller as the head of Argus. Right away, he receives a confidential file and learns the truth. Peacemaker killed his son in Corto Maltese. His reaction? Flag Sr. becomes obsessed and decides his #1 priority is to monitor Chris Smith's every move, even though he was cleared of the butterfly mess.
Sir.
I want a surveillance unit on Christopher Smith, 24/7, immediately.
8 months later, the boss's distrust is so deep that he assigns an agent, Fleury, to tail Economos just to make sure he isn't helping Peacemaker. Meanwhile, Adebayo visits her ex-wife and gets an earful for being selfish. After that tense moment, she rushes to warn Chris that Flag Sr. is watching him and suggests he hand over the quantum unfolding chamber. Obviously, Chris tells her no way. To ease the tension, the gang, Peacemaker, Adebayo, Harcourt, Adrian, and Economos, decides to have a party on Harcourt's apartment rooftop. Chris even tries to comfort Harcourt about her injuries, but she's not interested in talking. In the middle of the party, Argus agents raid Chris's trailer looking for the QUC, but they are brutally attacked by Eagly, who is basically the world's best security system. Back at his place, drunk, Chris grabs his alternate self's phone and tries to text the Harcourt from that universe. It doesn't work, so what does he do? He enters the QUC, travels to the other dimension, and finally manages to talk to the other Harcourt, just in time to hear her alternate father and brother looking for him. 3 years in the past, we see Harcourt having an affair with Rick Flag Jr. shortly before he leaves for the Corto Maltese mission. He wanted something serious, but she shut him down on the spot. Back in the present, Chris wakes up in his alternate self's room. He sees that the other Harcourt replied to his message and set up a meeting. As he leaves, he's thrilled to see that in this reality, the public loves Peacemaker. Arriving at Argus headquarters, he meets Harcourt, but there's a surprise. Rick Flag Jr. is alive and well, and dating her. Super awkward. In a part, she tells him she broke up with this world's Chris because he wouldn't commit, but he swears he's changed. Meanwhile, in the original universe, Adebayo and Harcourt have a talk, and it's clear Harcourt still has feelings for Chris. Suddenly, the conversation in the park is interrupted by an explosion. A terrorist organization called the Sons of Liberty has taken the local DMV hostage. Without a second thought, Chris goes into hero mode. He storms the building, neutralizes all the terrorists, saves the hostages, and disarms a bomb. To top it off, a hero named Captain Triumph shows up and helps destroy the villain's getaway helicopter. In the original universe, Economos gets chewed out by Sasha Bordeaux for not warning them about Eagly, who left the Argus agents in pieces. She then assembles an elite team, including the Eagle Hunter Red Saint Wild and martial arts master Judo Master, to raid Chris's place again. After an emotional conversation with his brother Keith, Chris returns to his dimension, completely unaware that a not-so-friendly welcoming committee is waiting for him. In a flashback from 35 years ago, a young Chris is on a hunting trip with his brother Keith and his father Augie. They find an an extraterrestrial creature, and despite Kaith's pleas to spare it, Augie kills it mercilessly. That's when they find the quantum unfolding chamber, the device the alien used to travel between realities, and take it home. In the present, the Argus team, led by Sacha Bordeaux, is on its way to Chris's home to arrest him. Economos is forced to accompany a bird hunter hired to kill Eagly. Without hesitation, Economos turns the tables. He warns Chris about the raid and knocks out the hunter to save the eagle. Chris manages to escape with the key UC, defeats Judo Master in the woods, and sends a message to Adebayo to pick him up. They hide out in a cabin and set up the ultimate interdimensional prank. While Economos stalls the Argus team, Chris and Adebayo activate the key UC in the cabin. The result? When Bordeaux finally opens the door at Chris's trailer, she's met with a closet. To complete the scene, Adrian Chase shows up to install hinges on the portal door. Meanwhile, Flag Sr. plays dirty and tries to convince Harcourt to join him in capturing Peacemaker, using their past relationship as bait. Chris sends her a message, and she arranges a meeting in a park. Little does he know it's a trap and that Flag Sr.'s team is waiting. To make matters worse, the bird hunter performs a magic ritual and discovers Eagly's location at the cabin. Things are about to get ugly. In a flashback from 3 years ago, we see Rick Flag Jr.'s funeral. Harcourt and Economos are there, and Flag's father is furious, vowing revenge on whoever killed his son. Back in the present, Harcourt goes to meet Chris in a park, but the whole thing is a huge trap set by Argus and Flag Sr. Chris immediately figures out what's going on, thanks to a code word from Harcourt. He cuts to the chase and asks if their thing meant anything to her. Her response? A loud and clear no. With Argus agents closing in, Chris starts fighting. A cyborg named Sacha Bordeaux nearly takes him down, but Harcourt steps in, knocking him out to save his life. In custody, Flag Sr. unleashes his rage and nearly beats Chris to death. What saves him is Economos, who cleverly logs Chris's name into the system. Killing a registered prisoner would be a massive headache for Argus. Meanwhile, in a forest, Red Saint Wild is tracking Eagly. He ends up mistakenly killing a random eagle, and then Eagly appears with an army of eagles, confirming the hunter's theory that he is the prime eagle. The result? Saint Wild is brutally torn to shreds by the birds. Chris returns to the cabin, says goodbye to Leota and Adrian, and doesn't notice that Judo Master followed him and has already given his location to Flag. He writes a farewell letter and enters a portal to another dimension, with Judo Master following close behind. In the letter, he explains that he's going to start a new life in an alternate universe. In the end, we see Chris happy in this new world, fighting a kaiju and meeting the other version of Harcourt. Following Harcourt's orders, the 11th Street kids decide to open the portal in Adrian Chase's basement. The problem is, the blast blows a cloud of magic flour from Adrian's personal stash right into everyone's face. After the powder shower, the team enters the portal and ends up in the Smith mansion of the alternate universe. When the alternate Kaith arrives, Harcourt hides the crew and goes with him to Argus, leaving the team behind. But once there, a drug-sniffing dog catches a whiff of magic dust on her, and Harcourt gets pulled in for questioning, right as alternate Chris shows up. Meanwhile, Adrian decides to explore his alternate house and is amazed until he runs into Adrian 2, who is practically his clone. Back on our Earth, Flag Sr. can't find Peacemaker. His solution? Go to Belle Rive for a chat with none other than Lex Luthor. Flag offers him a better prison in exchange for scanners to locate the portal. Luthor, of course, accepts the deal. In the alternate universe, Chris and Harcourt argue again about their feelings. She explains she feels too broken for a romance. Even after being released, Chris decides he's going to stay there. But then things get weird. Adrian 2 reveals that he hates Peacemaker 2 and has joined a group to fight against him. To make matters worse, the alternate Augie discovers Economos, stabs his hand, and makes him confess that our Chris killed Peacemaker 2. The final shot comes when Chris notices the American flag has a swastika instead of stars.
Fuck me.
This is your perfect world, huh?
Harcourt too arrives and has her other version arrested, while Leota is chased by white supremacists. After realizing Earth 2 is controlled by Nazis, Chris and Harcourt fight off the guards and escape on Chris's motorcycle. Adebayo, who is being chased, is saved by Judo Master, who electrocutes the pursuers in a pool and explains the bizarre history of that world. Adrian 2 tells our Adrian that he's part of the resistance against the government. Meanwhile, the alternate Augie, who had already met his Earth 1 counterpart, captures Economos and then snags flags Chris and Harcourt, taking everyone to the mansion. There, he interrogates Chris, who confesses everything, enraging the alternate Keith over his brother's death. The strangest part is that Augie doesn't seem to agree with the Nazi world and is willing to let the team go home. But Keith wants revenge. The conflict erupts when our Adrian simply stabs Augie to death. Keith starts shooting at everyone, and the police are alerted. A mad dash for the portal begins. Keith attacks Chris, but Eagly and the rest of the team arrive to save the day, leaving Keith in pieces. Seeing the state of his alternate brother, Chris breaks down and cries, stopping them from killing him. Harcourt still tries to execute Keith, but the police arrive and Adrian too shoves her through the portal. Back in their own world, the gang comes face to face with Flag Sr. and Argus. Chris surrenders, takes the blame for everything to protect his friends, and hands over the alien device. To everyone's surprise, Judo Master confirms his story, ending the mission. 1 month earlier, we see Chris and Harcourt on a dinner date. She's in a slump, feeling like a nobody after being banned from returning to Argus. But Chris, of course, disagrees. To cheer her up, he takes her to a Nelson concert on a boat, in full romantic movie style. They dance, there's a kiss, but then Harcourt suddenly ghosts him and leaves, leaving Chris hanging. Back in the present, Chris is doing hard time, locked up and awaiting trial in 3 months. He's so pissed off that he refuses to see any visitors from the 11th Street crew. Meanwhile, Argus has taken possession of the alien device, allowing them to open and close doors to other dimensions at will. Harcourt and Fleury go to check out one of these doors and are attacked by small creatures that end up killing an agent. Things went south. Seeing that Flag Sr. is using Lex Luthor's team, Economos gets fed up with the project. Using Adrian's confiscated drug money, Adebayo posts Chris's bail, but he just grabs Eagly, clears out his trailer, and disappears off the map. Argus finds a habitable planet called Salvation, and Flag Sr. sells the government on the idea of using it as a prison for metahumans, like an Arkham or Belle Rive 2.0 with more resources. Bordeaux dislikes the idea and secretly tells Harcourt everything. The gang teams up to find Chris and locates him at a motel. They give him the whole "you're important to us" speech, and on his way out, Chris asks the million-dollar question, did the night on the boat mean anything? She finally admits that it did. Chris is so happy he celebrates alone in his room like a kid who just got a present. A week later, the 11th Street kids have formed a new agency, Checkmate, along with Fleury, Bordeaux, and even Judo Master. Chris and Harcourt are dating and go to a concert. Everything's perfect, right? Not. Upon returning to the motel, Chris is kidnapped by Argus and taken to Flag. He reveals the dirty trick. He forged Chris's signature to use him as a test subject on Salvation. Chris is pushed through the portal, the door closes, and all we hear are the sounds of monsters coming from the forest. What a betrayal.